Occam's Razor for the Visually Impaired by Salvatore di Montferrat. 1. A sunny day in Manhattan. Let's say you're a white-collar worker in Midtown Manhattan. It's lunchtime. It's one of those rare New York days. Sunny, low humidity, 75 degrees. No thunderstorms lurking over New Jersey. No haze of wildfire smoke from Quebec. The kind of day that feels like a gift. So what do? Easy. You put in your earbuds, cue up your favorite podcast, and head out for lunch. Maybe you even walk a little further than usual. Maybe you find a place to sit outside. After all, you're a New Yorker. You know how rare this is. You also know where not to go. No one in their right mind wanders into Times Square at lunch. That's for tourists. But Midtown being Midtown, you'll pass close, maybe just a few blocks south or east, before you land at your usual spot. And how do you know you're getting too close? Easy. The gift shops. The windows are full of shirts that say INY and tiny foam statues of liberty. There are racks of snow globes and mugs with the skyline printed on them. There are too many shops and too few customers. Somehow they're still open. Here's the thing. You've seen this before. Not just in New York, but in Rome, in Paris, in Istanbul. The storefronts change, the magnets change, but the pattern doesn't. You start to wonder how they stay open. Then the podcast hits an ad break. It's the same one from last week. Mushroom coffee, artisanal beef sticks, a VPN service you've never heard of, a mattress company that sells only online. And that's when it hits you. They're both performing commerce without obviously doing any. 2. Doing business without business, and the business is good. Let's start with the stores. There are a few possible explanations. Some of them are innocent. Maybe these are just cheap to run with low rent grandfathered in and long hours propped up by family labor. Maybe the owners are playing the long game, counting on a few good tourist seasons to cover the rest. Some explanations are more speculative. Maybe they exist for legal or tax reasons, to keep a visa active, or an LLC compliant, or an inheritance sheltered. Maybe there's a factory somewhere halfway across the world that gets grants from a distant government. Grants triggered by proof that its T-shirts are being exported to a retailer on Fifth Avenue. The T-shirts aren't the product. The store is. Podcasts, oddly enough, may be doing something similar. Many of the ads you hear aren't backed by big budgets or rigorous analytics. They're often small companies placing small bets, not necessarily to sell, but to show they're playing the game, to have a presence. You're not the customer, you're the proof of concept. The podcast advertiser might not be looking for you. It might be looking for Series A money, or for a buyout. You're the bait, not the fish. Customer. In both cases, the storefront and the sponsorship slot may be symbols of participation, not sites of real exchange. 3. Cutting in the dark. Occam's Razor is a deceptively simple tool. It tells us that the simplest explanation, the one with the fewest assumptions, is usually the right one. All other things being equal, the cleanest cut is the most likely to be true. But that phrase, all other things being equal, hides a trap. Because in the real world, things are rarely equal. Context is rarely complete. And most of us assume, without even realizing it, that we are the intended audience. When we see a gift shop, we assume it's meant for us. When we hear an ad, we assume it's trying to sell us something. When we read a news story, we assume it's pitched at our worldview. And sometimes we're wrong. The simplest explanation only works when you understand who the intended target or audience is. Otherwise, you're trimming reality with a sharp blade and your eyes closed. 4. Cui bono and the fog of war. And then there's the age-old cui bono. It predates the razor by over 1,000 years, but in a way, it's still part of the same family, an early, slightly more narrow and specialized version of the same cutting tool, a kind of legalistic ancestor. The trick, of course, is that Bono isn't always money. It might be compliance, visibility, plausible deniability. A quarterly KPI met with no questions asked. Or it might be something stranger, a visa renewal, a subsidy trigger, an algorithmic boost. The benefit exists. It's just not the one we were trained to look for. And chances are it's not the proceeds of snow globe sales,